Hello there, welcome to the Mali channel. With me today is our very first male guest. I am so honored to have you on our show. Mr. Jeff Koinange.
Thank you.
In the room it said, Mr. Koinange or Koinange.
Yeah, Mr. Koinange.
And the many other names that your people have coined.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for making the time.
It's an honor. Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for having me be a part of Mali.
Yes. In fact, the introduction is you are now part of the Mali team. You're dressed in Mali. Do you like your watch?
Love it.
Looks very good on you.
Great timepieces, great bracelets, and the shades, huh?
The shades. Oh, you're going to wear that in a bit.
You know I will.
Yeah?
You know
I'm so happy you like Mali.
Yeah,
and we're happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
But before we even get into that conversation, I want to talk about you. You've written a book. We know you for the amazing work you've done.
Yeah.
You even have an Emmy Award. I wish you came with it. I could see it for myself and say I've held one before.
I should have brought it.
You should have brought it. But let's start with, this is the month of March.
Yes.
And I know we celebrated women. Happy Women's Day to all the women out there.
Happy Women's Day, indeed. Yes.
But also, for me, it's a month of just, and this is just from the date, March 4th. I take that literally, just reminding us. It's they say the one date that has a statement. Like literally, go forth.
Yeah.
Go after your dreams.
Yeah.
For you, when you read your book, like Jeff, you just went after it. From Pan Am, Reuters, CNN, and I could be skipping some. What gave you the courage to go after your dreams?
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned the month of March. It's really.
Is that when you?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's very symbolic in my family. I was born on January 7th, right?
Okay.
1966.
All right.
My dad.
Now you know how old he is.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Do the math. My dad died on March 7th, 1966.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do the math.
Oh, wow.
I was 2 months old.
Oh, my.
So he left my mom, who was 28 years old then, very young, in the 60s. Can you imagine in the 60s?
Yeah.
With 4 children.
Wow.
My oldest sister.
2-month-old baby.
Imagine, my oldest sister was 4.5 years old.
Okay.
And then my other sister 2.5, my brother 1.5, and I was 2 months old.
Oh, my. And I saw the pictures in the book. You look a lot like him.
Really?
You do.
Really?
I really do.
You
Well,
do
for
that?
me,
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
But so you never got to know him and see him? Imagine.
Never knew him. So this month of March, we celebrated, because I'm 57.
Okay.
We commemorate every year.
Oh.
But my mom pointed out this year,
Yeah.
he would have been 100 years old.
Wow.
Because he was 43 when he died, plus 57, which is my age. He would have been 100 years old. So when you mention March, I say, wow.
It's a special time.
It's a special month. It's a special month. So when you ask me what drove me, what made me be what I am, I think it's that drive. When you grow up without a father, when you grow up without that base, that foundation. But my mom was my father and my mother. She was both. And the job she did, we could never thank her.
It's not easy.
We could never thank her.
Of course.
And again, we're talking about the 60s and 70s where nobody was widowed then. Nobody was, and she raised us.
And not much power was given to it.
No.
Yeah.
There was
but
nothing.
she did it. Yeah.
There was nothing, no structures, no nothing. And she didn't remarry. She didn't abandon us. She just raised us. And she said one thing she'll give us is a foundation. She'll give us education. Fantastic. So she took us to the best schools.
Oh, bless her.
Can you imagine? The best schools. So, St. Mary's. My brother went to Lenana. My sisters went to Limuru Girls' School.
Oh, wow.
So she gave us that and she says, okay, now you
it's
guys.
Up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to
Do
you.
what you want.
I like how you mentioned, I can only imagine what it's like to have not had a father figure for a guy.
Yeah.
It's both women and men need a present father.
Yeah.
But for you, how did that play out in your life? Did you look for a mentor? Did you have a season where it troubled you? How did you deal with that? Because that happens to a lot of young men.
People today, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
single parent homes. How did you work around that?
It was tough, and my mom tried her best, to be that mentor, to be that guide. A lot of times when especially when I went out into the world, that's when it hits you.
Right.
There is no father figure. There's something missing. But you have to keep moving on. You have to find something that'll inspire you, whether it's movie figures, whether it's politicians, whether it's people you grew up around.
Yeah.
So it took a while. It took a while, and when I'm raising my son, I keep saying, "Wow, I didn't have this." Wow,
so you're very intentional.
Extremely. I didn't have this, and okay. But he's lucky to have both.
He is.
And a lot of kids are lucky to have both. But there are some, like you mentioned, who don't grow up without a father.
Yeah.
A single parent home. And it's tough these days than it was back when we were growing up.
Yeah? Because there's no community? Is that what you...
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
Indeed.
Yeah. And there's no social media, and there's no, where you can look up something and, say, oh, right, Denzel Washington will be my mentor, or Morgan Freeman, and let me listen to his words of inspiration, those kinds of things. Back then, there was none of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So well done. Look at you. Look at you. Now we have many men and women looking up to you and what you've achieved.
I hope so.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of, I feel like anyone now can be a content creator.
Yeah.
Just need a phone, Wi-Fi, bundles, and boom.
Yep.
And in a world coming from where you're coming from, it wasn't as easy to get into journalism.
No.
What would you tell that person now who may be studying journalism or just wants to create content? I still feel there is wisdom in that experience from the past, that is still key. What can you tell that person today?
First of all, when we used to travel, I have to tell you this because it's a funny story. When we used to travel from one country to another, we used to travel with 200 kilograms of equipment. 200 kilograms. I mean,
we have equipment here, but it's not close to...
We would check in at the airport and you have to, it's like 13 bags or 13 boxes.
It takes forever.
You're
holding up the line.
God forbid one box
was missing
when you landed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was horrible. And I wonder how we really did it. But we did it. And, the tape, we always shot on tape.
Okay.
I go back to the edit studio
and you go rewind. You take your TCs.
Correct. TCs, your time code.
Exactly.
My God, this stuff has changed incredibly. And it's great. It's great because it gives everybody an opportunity.
That's true.
But people have to remember that the core business, the foundation has to be what it is, journalism. Yeah. Yes, you can create content, but you need to create it all the time. You can do a great story today and everybody will be talking about it, you'll be trending, you'll go viral. What are you going to do tomorrow?
What next?
You wake up tomorrow and it's like, oh goodness, what do I do today?
I see.
So you have to be consistent, you have to do it all the time, if you want that, if you want people to remember you forever and ever.
I feel like you're talking to me directly.
No.
You asked me, so how often are you posting on this channel, Grace? Once a month.
Once a month.
You need to do it more then. I get what you mean. Consistency
Yes.
is key.
It's great that people put content out there. It's fantastic. But, think about longevity. Yeah. Think about consistency. Yeah. You have to be consistent.
That's true.
If you want people out there to keep watching you or coming back to you,
keep giving them something.
Keep giving them something.
Okay.
And keep thinking, okay, yesterday I did this, it was great. Today I'm going to do this. Tomorrow I'm going to follow up. Follow up is always important. Okay. And don't rest on your laurels. That's a Kikuyu, you have to say that slowly, huh? It's a rest on your laurels. Don't rest on your laurels. Because once you do that, you get lazy.
You do.
And we are very
the next best person will come up.
Take over.
That's true.
We'll take over in a minute.
In a minute.
Because this generation, or most of this upcoming generation, you call it Z, right?
Yeah.
See, they have an attention span that's very short.
Oh, it's 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
People
so how can you engage them?
Exactly.
Like a TikTok video.
There you go. There you go. So yes, it's great that they're doing this. Yeah. It's great that journalism has changed incredibly in the last 20, 30, 40 years. But still,
consistency is so key.
It's key. It's key.
Okay.
And just like the brand, consistency. Selling this every time, letting people know what Mali is.
Okay.
These timepieces that people will wear and say, wow, this is really good.
Keep telling the story.
Keep telling the story. What does Mali mean other than the country? Or in Swahili, Mali means
exactly
wealth.
That word came from wealth. Arabic and Swahili meaning of wealth. And for us, it's just like an ode to Mansa Musa.
Mansa Musa. We studied him in school. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And he was the wealthiest man in the world.
Yeah.
Not Africa,
yeah.
but the world.
And
so if an African can do that,
Sahara,
he did, giving out gold.
Along the way.
And
in Egypt,
until gold is appreciated. That's how much gold he gave out. So if an African man can do that, be the richest man in the world, why not do that ourselves?
Why not?
Create a beautiful luxury product that we can sell to the world. That is my dream for Mali. I hope you can help us achieve it.
I will try my best. But,
Yeah?
Grace, you have done a fantastic job as it is. You may not need my help, but I'll tag along.
Look at him being
I'll tag
coy and kind. But I need to ask,
Yes.
from your successes, like I said, we've seen you work for CNN. You're now back home.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. You do a breakfast show, then you do a night show.
Yeah.
One, what gives you the drive to do that?
Yeah.
And what have been your biggest lessons from success?
Look, I wake up at 4 o'clock every day, 4 a.m. and get ready for the radio show. So I leave home around maybe 4:45, around 5, get to work around 5:20 and start, getting the papers, reading the background on the guests. And we start at 6 to 10, 4 hours of live radio every single day. And then on Wednesdays and Sundays, I have the JKL on Wednesday.
And
Sunday.
you've still done the morning show?
Yeah,
that
the next
Wednesday?
day, absolutely. So I finished the JKL at about midnight, get home around 12:30, sleep at about 1:30, wake up at 4:30, 3 hours of sleep.
How do you do it?
I really don't know, and I can't answer that because I have no clue.
don't know.
But it's a drive, and I love what I do, and it's the passion, and this is what we have to teach this next generation, young generations. That
Yeah, the microwave. They just want to. It's not working. Okay, what next?
Next.
Doesn't work like
No.
that, huh?
No, and it's not going to work in 30 seconds or a minute and a half, like you said. It's not, because you got to wake up the next day, and you got to
And do it again.
and do it again,
Yeah.
and be better than you were yesterday,
That's true.
and next week, and next month, and next year. Remember that
It's a long game.
it's a long game,
It's a long game.
and don't forget, people will, the minute you're off air, people forget you.
That's true.
If you say, "Oh, I'm tired of this, I can't do this anymore,"
They're like, okay.
next, because it's a long line of people waiting to take over. Huh?
Of course.
A long line.
It's rough.
It's rough.
It's even by the time you decide to close that chapter, you have to be ready mentally, isn't it?
You have to. But while you're doing it, remember there's an audience out there that watches you or listens to you every day, and you owe them. You belong to them.
Don't take it for granted.
Do not take it for granted. Exactly. Right? Because they're going out of their way to watch you or listen to you. Whether it's in traffic, whether it's on their headphones, whether it's in the evening at home, chilling, relaxing with the family.
They could
They're
watch
watching
something else, but they're watching you.
Bingo. And people, I get so much appreciation for people who come up to me and say, "Oh man, wow, well done, good stuff. We love what you do."
Yeah.
And I'm saying, these guys really watch.
They do.
Although they say, the phrases that I use on TV.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Even my kids say that.
Do they?
My, oh my.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine such a simple phrase
Yeah, look at what you've done.
people use every day?
Yeah.
So you
Well
say,
done.
you know what? If you guys are going out of your way to watch me
Yeah.
or listen to me, I will give you back.
I'll give you
I'll
the
do
content.
everything I can. I'll give you content.
I love it. Could you say, is that the secret to longevity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Consistency, hard work.
Yeah.
Don't forget, hard work is key. Get up in the morning. Even when you don't feel like getting up,
I tell you.
get up.
Discipline.
Discipline. Right? And when you feel, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. No.
Do
Keep
it.
going. Everybody has issues. Everybody has problems. And you may have things that you do.
I don't want to say this badly, but I feel like this generation
Yeah.
has sort of become soft. I don't know if I
Yeah.
should I say that?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that badly. Like even I have days where I don't want to get up.
Yeah.
You need to
You're not-
exercise, you need to do this, but
Correct.
you're just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning from your generation is you have the days as well, but you get up and get the job done.
Yes.
So at the
Yes.
back of our mind, you need to remember, just get it done.
And keep going.
Just keep
And
going.
keep going. And,
Keep going.
tomorrow will be a better day.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If today was a rough day, wake up tomorrow and it'll be better.
Do better.
Yeah. If today was a good day, and say tomorrow will be a better day.
I like it.
You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
And just keep going.
That's-
I've been in this business. Shoo,
How many years now?
1995 was my first job, so nearly 30. 1995, actually 94 in New York.
I wouldn't say how old I was. 1995.
Can you imagine? Nearly 30 years.
Imagine.
Yeah.
When did you know this was it, actually?
Journalism.
Because you started
yeah.
off,
I
Pan
started-
Am and your
correct.
voice and the aeroplane, and everyone
Yes.
was like, what are you doing on this airline? Your voice needs to be
Imagine.
on a TV screen or a radio.
And I didn't know that.
You didn't know?
No, I was making announcements on the plane, and I didn't know that it could earn me money. Can you imagine?
You didn't know
then?
the gift you had.
Yes.
Oh, that's powerful.
Can you imagine?
God given. He just gave you that, and you didn't know
And
you
there
could
I
make
am.
money
Yes.
with it. Wow.
And then when I went to college and studied journalism and started working in New York, and obviously it was difficult then because I was not an American, and they could tell that you're not American. Over there they can tell that you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
But still, I said, you know what? I'll keep going. I'll keep practicing. I'll keep studying, and even if I'm going to be a producer initially, which I was,
Okay.
I can work my way to
really?
becoming on camera. Yeah.
Great.
And it was difficult, huh? It was difficult. But when I came back to Kenya and I started working for Reuters, I did that for 6 years. It was great, in Kenya and in West Africa and South Africa. Still producing most of the time, but once in a while voicing.
Really?
It was when CNN approached me the first time, and they said, "We want you to be our Lagos bureau chief." And I said, "Oh," and we were living in South Africa then, right? And I said,
So from South Africa
to Lagos. Can you imagine? It's like black and white.
Right? But you said, you know what, I'll do this.
Yes. Yes.
Why?
To get on air, to get experience, to challenge again. It was a great challenge.
Great challenge.
From Johannesburg to Lagos.
Yeah.
And I realized, you know what? I was born to tell the African story. That's my calling. It took me a while to realize that,
But you did.
Eventually, and that was it, and that's why I wrote this book.
If you've not bought this book, I'm going to plug it for you.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful, I guess, part of you. You're sharing yourself with us.
Yes.
And your journey, and your
Yes.
career journey, even
Yeah.
family. It's
Yes.
such a beautiful book.
Yeah.
As we wrap, we've talked about your successes, but we all have moments that rock bottom,
Yeah.
low moments,
Yeah.
failure, but I call that as just redirection. Take us to the moment when you left CNN. And you share that publicly.
I do.
How it happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to share now, but how did you recover from that? And look at you now. Like back with a bang. We're still watching you, listening to you.
Yeah.
How did you move from that to this?
Great question. I mean, and this is a lesson. It's a life lesson for many people.
And I feel like our biggest lessons are in those moments.
Failure.
Yeah, in the
Absolutely.
valley. Yeah.
And coming back.
Coming back.
And not giving up.
Yeah.
Because people think, oh God, the world has rejected me. Oh God,
What now?
Exactly, what now? And it was tough because, I had done a story in Nigeria and I had followed
Brilliant
some...
story.
Oh.
In the war zone,
And I would never change that again. If I had to do it again, I would never change it. It was a great story. And we got access to rebels that nobody had ever gotten access to. We went to places where the Nigerian military was never allowed to go to. So it was a great story, great footage. And we told the story.
Yeah. And people loved it?
And people loved it.
It was received well?
fantastic. Really, really well. Apart from the Nigerian government. And we tried to get a reaction from the Nigerian government, and they refused to talk to us because, they weren't engaging in the rebels then.
Okay.
And there'd been a case where some Filipino hostages, Filipino the crew on a ship had been taken hostage by these rebels.
And the public didn't know about that?
Nobody knew. The whole, not even Manila, not even the Philippines knew.
Wow.
So when we aired this, and there was an outcry, and Manila was calling Lagos or Abuja and saying, what's going on?
All because of Jeff?
All because of that story we saw on CNN. So and the Nigerian government now decided, you know what, we're going to apply a lot of pressure. Either, we'll yank out all our advertising on CNN. This guy will be deported. We don't want him anymore. It was rough for a while. It was really rough. But the story was told. And most Nigerians really loved the story. I guess it was the government at the time that just said, you know what, this is not good. And CNN and I decided, you know what, let's part company.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
But isn't that what good journalism is?
I thought so.
I mean, look at John Allen now and what he's doing now.
Fantastic stuff.
Right?
The Last Door is just incredible and risky, huh?
Risky.
Very risky. And,
But the truth is being told.
Yeah.
How did you feel after that?
It was tough, huh? It was really tough because I thought, I'd really told the story. And
you did your job.
And the hostages, I didn't tell you, the hostages were released less than 48 hours after we did that story. Can you imagine?
Well done.
The rebels went on and released the hostages, then they sent them to Port Harcourt, which is, back then it was in the south.
In my
Port
books,
Harcourt.
that's powerful journalism.
I thought so. But it was a great learning lesson in that, you go from here,
Their
CNN,
powers that be. Yeah.
and CNN, and you're reduced to, and you have to pick up the pieces and move on.
How did you do that?
I just decided, first of all, let me write a book.
Oh, that's when you started writing?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It was
Okay.
07. My son had just been born, which was a great time because
You had some time.
I was writing, I had a lot of time, and I was writing the book at night, so I could take care of the young man at night, and my wife could take care of him and during the daytime. So it was great. And
It worked out well.
Oh, it worked out beautifully. It took me 7 years to write, by the way.
Wow.
7 years. All the research, all the, going back in time and telling the
Revisiting
chronology,
that, yes.
revisiting the past. So I said, you know what? Once I write this book, I can keep moving. I can keep moving. So as I was writing, I was saying, where do I go? What do I do? I said, time to go back home. I've been away for most of my life then, for more than 20 years.
Time to go home.
Time to go home.
Jamal needs to know home. Yeah.
So K24 came calling.
Yes.
That's when
The bench. All Kenya.
All the time.
I got that on camera.
It's a great show. It was a great time. And this was 2007.
Okay.
So we started this TV station that was 24 hours of news. And people were saying, who's going to watch 24 hours of news? There's nobody who's going to watch. It's boring.
Yeah.
And then post-election violence happened.
And that's what we were watching.
Boom. There was nowhere else to go.
That's true.
What's happening at Sarit? What's happening in Lavington? What's happening at Yaya? What's happening in Eldoret? What's happening in Mombasa? We were giving
Wasn't a
all
great
that
time.
news. Yeah.
Yes, you were.
The timing
Was
couldn't have been
perfect.
better.
It worked out for you.
It worked out beautifully. And we did that. And then the bench, of course, we would do that every day.
Yeah.
For the first 3 years, I did that show every day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And that, again, it was the hard work, it was the consistency,
Exactly.
it was getting this program for an audience out there that was used to watching Citizen, KTN, NTV, all those other big stations.
And no profile every single day. You were doing an interview every single day.
imagine? Can you
Just
imagine?
shake my hand. Doing this every single day.
Every day. For 3
Getting
years.
a guest every single
Every day, different guest.
Wow.
It was incredible. I mean, it was great,
You're a star.
and people still say some of my best interviews were during the.
It's true.
When the
true.
benches at Fairview and at
Yeah.
Norfolk. It was a great time. It was a great time. I mean, I hope we changed the way people watch, not only watch TV, but the country changed.
Yeah.
Because it was a tough time.
It was.
It's a very tough time, and bringing a country like this together, where every day, people are hating on each other, people are going after each
You had a
other.
huge responsibility.
Huge. And I hope we achieved what we were meant to achieve.
I think you did.
It was a great journey.
I think you
So
did.
from 07, the last, 16 years, I've been back home. Well, still travel out and do stories in different countries. But it's great to be back. It's great to be back.
Then Citizen came knocking.
No, it was K24, and then I worked for a Nigerian station called Arise. I don't know if you've watched Arise on DSTV. Yeah, great.
I have.
Yes.
You did that after K24?
I did, yes.
Not bad.
I did that for about a year and change in London and in Johannesburg and in New York.
I see.
Because they had different bureaus there.
Okay.
So I did that for a whole year and change. After I said, you know what, all this traveling and stuff, it's time to really go back home.
Okay.
So KTN. I did the JK Live at KTN, with the Kempinski for the most time, remember?
Yes, indeed.
We're doing Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
Wednesday was political, and Thursday was Inspiration Thursday.
And that's where you started years ago, KTN.
Yeah, about 2013.
When you
there.
were younger.
No,
Oh, at the time you did a
when I
stint.
first came back to Kenya. Yeah, I was doing KTN and Reuters, correct?
Yes,
correct.
exactly. So you went back there later.
Yes,
I
back to
see.
KTN, yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, and then
I
after
mean-
that, Citizen.
With all that you've achieved, I mean, he's worked everywhere, really. That is important and should be mentioned.
Yes.
What are you most grateful for, and what parting shot can you give the people watching?
I'm so grateful for the fact that I can get up every morning and go to work.
Yeah?
Yeah, that I see some people who
Complain.
not only that, I grew up with, and
they don't
they're in
have-
the street, yeah,
Okay.
either drinking or drugs or gave up on life.
That happens, eh?
It happens, but it need not.
Okay.
As long as you have 2 legs and 2 arms and a mind that can think.
Get up and do something.
Yeah, keep getting up. Because there's some people who'd love to and can't.
That's true.
They're in a wheelchair or in a hospital bed. They're restricted. They cannot do anything.
Yeah.
But you have sound mind. You have all your limbs working.
Yeah.
Your brain is working. What are you waiting for? What's your excuse? So I'm grateful that I can get up every day and go to work.
I love it.
And I'm grateful that there is work to be done. I'm
There's
still
work to be
relevant.
done.
I hope I'm still relevant.
Yes, you
and I
are.
can be.
Yes,
And it's difficult in a business like this because there's so many people, so much
many.
talent.
Indeed.
And
Coming up every day.
every day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to give it up to somebody at some point.
Indeed.
So
Are you
it's
ready?
Yes.
Are you preparing yourself for that?
Absolutely. Look, I just told you 30 years.
30 years is a
30
long
years,
time.
yeah. I can move on. I've done my bit and I love it, and the book will always, it will be sold forever and ever. By the way, it's
true.
available at Textbook Center and Prestige Bookshop.
Go get
But
it.
yes, the fact that I'm still relevant
Yeah.
is great, and I appreciate.
Okay.
Every day I appreciate, and I will give back as much as I can, as long as I can.
Yeah.
Right? When it's time to walk away, I'll walk away happily, and I'll know that I did my bit. So my piece of advice, especially to people in this field of ours, number one, you're only as good as your last story.
Yep.
And this is everyone who's doing content.
Yep.
You're only as good as your last story.
And you can't ride on that last story forever.
No, people get
Keep
people will
creating.
move on.
That's true.
People will move on.
That's
Remember that. So get up tomorrow, do something else, next day, next week, next month. Number two, especially in journalism, no story is worth dying for. A couple of times I came close to
Right?
being killed or dying.
You're like, no, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not. And you lost some colleagues, didn't
I
you?
lost some. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, January 1999. I'll never forget in Sierra Leone. It was horrible, and I'll never forget. And I said, you know what? The thing about it is, they talked about those colleagues of mine who were killed the next day, the same day. Top news. At the bottom of the TV, top news, a picture, everything for the next 6 hours. 6 hours later, it was just a mention. Another 6 hours later, it was just that ticker on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So-and-so killed, so-and-so killed.
Just a scroll.
The scroll. Boom. After that,
They've forgotten.
following month, following year, 10 years later, 20 years later, forgotten. Is it worth it?
No.
No story is worth dying for.
I hope you're listening. John Alanamu.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope you're listening.
Yes. Some great stuff he does.
Yeah, I know. But you worry.
You worry.
You worry.
You worry.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much for your time.
Grace.
We appreciate it. I'm
Thank you.
humbled.
As am
And
I.
it's an honor to work with you.
Thank you.
With Mali.